We're going to do one short example of solving equations using a graphing utility. An example 3 here comes directly from my math lab, I am pretty sure. And so it says graph f of x and g of x on the same plane and shade the region bounded by the y-axis and then solve f of x equals g of x. Use the window display of -551 and -114,1. Okay, so I'm actually going to start with the then solve part first. Doing this by hand is not hard at all. If I need to solve when f of x equals g of x, well, what is my f of x? My f of x is 2 to the x. My g of x is 3. Last video, we went over solving exponential equations. First thing, isolate. Well, my exponential portion is already isolated, so let's now rewrite it. We go base to the other side of the equals. So this is an exponential with a base of 2. So this is log base 2 of 3. And it equals x. I'm going to put my x on the other side. And so we can put that into our calculator and get a decimal equivalent. Alpha window number 5. And we have log base 2 of 3. So this equals about 1.58, let's just call it 5. So as a note again, this is my exact answer. This is my rounded approximation answer here. So now let's do it the way that they said, and we should get this graph here minus the bounded portion. I don't know how to do that in our calculator. I know there's a way, I just don't know that way. So when I'm using this calculator here, what we are going to do is I'm going to put the left side of this equation, so this 2 to the x, as my y1, and then I will put the right side, in this case is just 3 in my y2. So we have 2 to the x into y1, and then y2 is 3. I'm going to graph it on here so it matches this. And this is for my x. And this is information for my y. So I'm going to go to window. This needs to be -5 to 5 with a scale of 1. And then -1 to 14 with a scale of 1. So now I'm going to hit graph. And there's my graph. Now again, that little middle part is shaded. I don't know how to shade it, but there's our graph. So what we are finding here is where is this intersection point at? So here is my 2, if I can trace, that would be awesome. My 2 to the x. And here is my equation of y equals 3. And so what we are trying to find is where are these two crossing? This is essentially a system of equations. So my answer is right here, their intersection. So I'm going to go over here to calc. So second trace. I'm going to go down here to number 5 and find that intersection point. So hit enter. It wants the first curve. You're on that first curve. Enter. Second curve. You're on that second curve. Enter. Enter through the guess. And here we have the same approximate number. You can solve any equation doing this. So even these equations we did on the previous page right here, you can do that way. If you set the left side as your Y1, and then set the right side as your Y2, graph them, and find the intersection. You can do this more to check your answers. If they wanted an exact, all they'll give it to you as is a decimal. So if they want an exact, you have to do this by hand. But if it's an approximation, if they want you to round anyways, you can put that in your graphing calculator and solve. And you can do this for anything, for quadratic equations, for radical equations, linear, anything is honestly just a system. And so you can use that graphing utility to help you either answer it or check your answers if it needs it in exact.